Hi there, my name is Jasper Haun. Today I'm going to be presenting to you my senior capstone project, which feature exhibit boards for an exhibition that we chose a social issue for, as well as a booklet that supports our exhibition. I want to talk about some slides that are super strong with visual language, a couple of slides that could use a little bit of work, some challenges that I had, and I want to go over the interactivity of my board and the process that I had while I was designing this. To start, I want to start with the appendix of my booklet actually to show the evolution of the boards. I did start off with some simple beagle icons and some imagery from online. I did choose a palette that related to these dogs, some cream colors, some browns, a little bit like brown blacks, um, and red for the text to stress the gravity of the situation. I did move from having things that were, like placeholders to pushing actual content in and having different types of interactivity. I did have a little envelope with a slip of paper at first to pick names for beagles who were being adopted and who had gotten out of the laboratory setting. And then I had this little box down below to sign a petition, which is featured in the Beagle Freedom Project, which I also brought into my exhibit. Throughout time, I tested some different backgrounds, some different types of bar graphs, different ways to showcase the information and bubbles to tie it more together. And over time, I actually moved away from Beagle imagery into more of like a laboratory type setup. Having no direct imagery meant bringing in some like hand-drawn lab equipment in, which I thought was super cool. And then these two are my final exhibit boards. Both inactive and active are shown here. I do want to pull them up a little closer. So my end goal with the interactivity ended up being the name of Beagle. There's a little pencil. You can scan this QR code and it will take you to the Beagle Freedom Bill, and you can sign the petition from there. I changed my bar graph to some vials, some beakers, and I thought that that brought even more visual language into it. And for the active panels, these bubbles right here, when someone touches them, will light up and give different little facts about why beagles are used in lab settings. And so I think the interactivity definitely evolved over time in a positive way. Probably one of the biggest challenges for me was letting go of the beagle imagery and the colors and thinking outside of the box. But once I managed to do that, I feel like this project took leaps and bounds from where it was. I also want to talk about some of these different slides that I was really proud of. This one, the cover took a while, actually, and I brought the colors, I simplified them down from my exhibit boards and just chose black, white, and this kind of medium blue here. And these bubbles were also tied into my exhibit with these bubbles here. And I tried to mirror them here so you can see the bubbles coming up. And I thought it was really cool to have an image on the front page that had bubbles so that it would kind of nod to the viewer why these bubbles are here. I also want to show you. This is one of the slides that I'm particularly a fan of. I think it's another nod with the bubbles and having factoids down below with some simple, clean design that nods back to the theme of this whole presentation. Um, this is another one, another bubble. setup with the photography for our clock exhibits, and I particularly like that one as well. And then one of the harder slides that I had was showcasing the appendix and specifically this exhibit board with something that wasn't just a quick layout. And I know that there were some other students that had placed an appendix just with the posters or with the exhibit boards, and I wanted to do something a little bit more with it. And I still haven't quite figured out what I wanted to do with this, how I wanted this to line up, if I wanted it on a straight line. So I think the appendix was probably the most challenging for me. But I do feel that over time, I established a pretty good visual language, especially with the bubbles and tying them in. Um, and this social issue is so important to me just because I care so much for dogs. And I think that it was a good way for me to showcase what I'm passionate about through design, especially with this capstone project. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck to all of you.